Why are you so quiet? Cannot hear you, but hopefully you can hear me as we're starting off with a blast. The good thing is, this is kind of that time where people start to just mosey on into the show, say hello, get comfortable, relax, and prepare themselves for the deliciousness that we have prepared for you. Content is king, and I figure I'm going to hear you at some point, Adam, because I'm not sure what's going on here. Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me.
I can hear you.
Okay, you
Yeah,
can hear
you're
me
on.
loud and clear. Well, that's good. This, of course, is the Well Below Average podcast. I'm Roy White. That's Adam Ish, the specialist producing this program, putting it on up for you. And of course, you can find it on every major podcast platform that's out there and available to you. We got some
Tell
great
us on that.
sponsors that we want to let you know about. And talk to me, Adam, if you think you are good.
You got me?
I do have you very
All right.
slightly, but I have you, I think.
Hmm. Yeah, I switched it to the big microphone and it's showing me.
That's
How
better.
does that sound now?
That's
Better?
better. That's
Oh, okay.
better.
It switched my microphone out on me. That's what
Perfect.
happened.
Well, just
Oh,
enough time back to give them the sponsors real quick.
all right. Real quick before we get our guest on, we got Rodeo Coffee. You can check them out. Um, they're on the Walsh Ranch neighborhood. Give them a shout. Great coffee. Here's their Instagram handle. Check them out. Give them a follow if you're in the West Fort Worth area. Track them down. Go get you a great cup of coffee and some breakfast out there. If you're into needing some gear, Local Menace is the Dallas-based streetwear brand hell bent on destroying your wardrobe. Go to localmenace.com. Use code BEARDCREW right there. 25% off your order. Let them know we sent you. You get a big discount. Check them out. And as always, Ish Beardworks, my company. Check us out, Ish Beardwork. Use code LOVE. Take 15% off your order. Get that beard game, your hygiene game in order. All right. Bills are
Wonderful.
paid. And are we ready to bring on KT?
There's no reason to wait any longer. My former colleague, still dear friend, the great KT Fun Tweets. That's where you can find him on Twitter. Of course, I know him as Kevin Turner before he became KT, that celebrity of the DFW radio media market. So, KT man, thanks for joining me again. It's like we're back in the booth at UNT all of a sudden.
Man, I remember being so shy in college and having very few friends. And a Ted Emmerich was a guy I got lucky to meet early on. He's like, man, you just got to go to the radio station. You just got to start talking to people, man. So, you do the thing and you go there. And the first time they stuck me on the air, they're like, here's Roy White. He's a veteran, been doing this for a long time. Just follow his lead and you guys go do 6 minutes of sports. And we did. And they didn't let us have a lot of fun with the script, but it was good times. I'll never forget my first sportscast with Roy effing White.
They
Wow.
did. Adam, they were a little tight butthole with those sportcasts at KNTU. A little tight with it, but hey, it was about sports, and we had to deliver on that front. So, unfortunately, KT and mine owns influence went well beyond sports, and I think KT has now actually eclipsed what we kind of set out to accomplish all those years ago: is to be able to talk sports when you want, have the respect of anybody that is interested in sports, knowing that you can deliver, but also do the things that an incredibly talented individual like KT is capable of bringing to the table, not just reading the headlines off of a sports page.
Yeah.
It's like sports freedom. Yeah.
You're a
Bingo.
bona fide newsman now, aren't you, KT?
Yeah, technically I would say I'm the newsman. But I think that's more just because we wanted Christina to have the title of producer. I think it just sounds a little more badass if you've got a chick as the producer, like keeping everyone in line. But still, it's either way, you're kind of like been in Skinner the headliners, and you're just kind of the opening act that tries not to screw it up, and make everyone run away. That's the way I view it. I'll say this: Roy helped me so much in my career. This is very important. I don't know if it gets out there enough. I mean, Roy worked at the ticket and helped me get an internship at the ticket. And Roy was doing overnights, and then I was doing overnights, and then Roy took the leap to go to the Fan. And it was one of those things where I felt like I've kind of been following Roy, except for the getting married and having kids. It's kind of because I'll get fired soon. Like, don't like it won't be long. Like, eventually, that's coming. But
not where you're at now, man. Not where you're at now. You're on to great, great things and accomplishing great, great things in this market. And I only expect, bigger and better things for you to come. And maybe it's, the marriage part of it that brought me to where I am today. So, geez, don't let her hear me. But yeah, that's on her.
Careful, man. I'll get in trouble.
He's downstairs with a friend. She definitely is not listening, thankfully.
My wife's a saint. It's not because she's on the live stream right now. She's watching on YouTube. So,
nice.
I don't know what you're talking about. Wives are great. Never had a problem, not once.
That's better than mine, man. She wouldn't even support my radio gig.
Oh man. Well, I remember we had Dan on once. The first time I had Dan McDowell on, and he was talking about that, like his wife would listen and then she would get upset with this stuff, and he kind of told her, just don't listen. There's no point in you listening. You're not going to enjoy it. It's going to just upset you. Just don't tune in. So,
well, Dan McDowell is one of the most keep it real MFers I've ever come across in my life.
yes.
God, I miss Dan. I hadn't talked to him in years, but that's one of the good ones, the true good ones in this world.
There's a lot of good ones. There's a lot of good ones in our market. I mean, it's just
For sure.
we are really lucky with the people that we've got to interact with.
Dude, absolutely.
We got one of the best on right now with KT, and since you are a newsman, I wanted to bring something up. We talked about this a little bit, and y'all didn't even get to it on the Ben and Skin show, which put my little banner up. Ben and Skin show. Weekdays 5 on 97.1 The Eagle. Where you can hear KT every week. I heard one of the most fantastic, most eloquent and beautiful stories ever told this last week, and it was the Johnny Depp recounting the photo he received of Amber Heard relieving herself on the bed. And just want to get your thoughts on this whole Amber Heard, Johnny Depp thing, and some of this fantastic sound bites we've been getting, KT.
No, I mean, look, I'm glad you brought it up, because this was definitely like one of those things that was in the email all week. And we had, Jeff Kavanaugh, our buddy from the Fans, been filling in for a couple weeks because Christina went to Italy and is still in Italy. And Christina may not be coming back from Italy because it looks like she's having the best time of her life. But we had Jeff, fill in on the show for Christina for a couple of weeks. So now you got 4 of us in there, and we're just going. And at some point, you got to go to break. So I was like, we didn't get to much stuff. We were goofing pretty much. Man, I knew this was coming because I knew this. I knew about the story, right?
Right.
But it's a sad deal. The fact this whole trial is a sad deal because it does sound like 2 people who have mentally and maybe even physically in some certain circumstances abused each other. That's really sad. But Johnny Depp, old Jack Sparrow, reacting to Amber Heard dropping a turd with the fact that he just laughed and said that it was grotesque and all he could do was laugh. And I'm like, man, I don't know. I think there's like a lot of reactions you could have, and laughing is not like the first one. But that's what it was for old Captain Jack.
Yeah. Have you seen it, Roy?
I haven't. No, I haven't. That's the first time I've heard that story. That's hilarious.
It's not good, man.
And I laughed. It was just the whole delivery of it. Like he said, like when they asked him on the stand about the photo, he started laughing, and just the words he used, defecated on my side of the bed. It was yeah. And it is sad, but come on, that was good.
She also tried to blame him on their Yorkshire Terriers. And if you've seen the photo, the one thing I'll say about Johnny Depp is that It is. I mean, it is too big to be from a little Yorkshire Terrier.
Right?
You know, I mean, it looks like a 2 or 3 pounder, man. It's not great. So yeah, no, pretty graphic stuff there. I mean, what a fall from grace for Johnny Depp. I mean, 100 pirate movies and then that. Oh,
Yeah, he lost Pirates of the Caribbean, but will he be back? Like, can you come back from the turd story? Can you come back from this? It's Hollywood, man. Like, if he isn't found guilty of actually committing physical abuse, he's in
yeah.
another movie, right?
I mean, look, there's like a lot of talk about like, oh well, Will Smith's gonna drop out of some movies. Like that'll all stop in a couple months, and Will Smith will get any role that he ever wants. Like that's how it'll be. Johnny Depp is seen as more of a joke though in that world, I think, than Will Smith is. So there, like I can't think of much that Johnny Depp had done that's for lack of a better term, worthwhile recently. It's just odd. Like, okay, so the guy from The Secret Window, like the weirdest thing to me is the text messages to Paul Bettany, who played WandaVision's husband Vision in WandaVision. I'm not a big Marvel guy, but I did watch that one. And he was talking about some crazy stuff he would do to her corpse after he set her on fire in text messages. I'm like, hey, who would have guessed it? The guy from the movie The Secret Window, in which he was an author that killed people and then grew them in a garden and then ate them. Yeah, that guy's weird. Who would have thought?
God, I've never seen that movie either, but that was not what I thought that movie was about.
When, it's awful.
I'd seen that preview, and it's really bad.
He's a Looney Tune, man. He's a Looney Tune, and I don't know about her. I don't know enough about her, right? So there's where you go. And I would be lying if I said that I've been watching the trial. Like, I've just, read a few things and it was coming. I do think that the whole thing is sad. This sound like two people who started abusing each other, but yeah. I wish the best for all parties involved. Well, pooping in the bed really crossed the line there. But I don't know what other lines might have been crossed from the other side,
Yeah, I mean,
Frank Reynolds came back from it.
That's the thing that made me think of is the Always Sunny episode.
See, I hear that. All I think of is comedy because that is the only reference I can think of an individual pooping and defecating, if you will, in the bed.
It's one of the great whodunits of our time. Is who pooped the bed.
Oh man. I'll never get enough of poop the bed talk, but we're here for a purpose. We're gonna do some draft. I know we're all big draft guys here, big Cowboys fans. We got rid of the Steelers fan. He's on vacation in Disneyland or something.
Well, now I want to be clear about something. Like when you say we are all big draft guys, when it's like me, you, and Nick, I feel like that is a statement that does encompass us all because we're all fans of the draft. We're all like very into the draft and we like the draft. We follow, I'm interested in what's going to happen. But in this context, the reason we have KT on is because while we are into the draft, he is into the draft. You can think of him as like being inside the draft. And when I say that, I mean deep, penetratingly inside the draft. And that's not just from the standpoint that he pays attention to it. He actually has sources inside some of these draft rooms across the country because he's got it like that, because he's put in that work. So I just want to be clear, like we are into the draft and our part in this exercise will be, hopefully fun. But KT's side, just remember, like we are talking to a draft expert, a guy who has done nearly a decade's worth of draft previewing shows. And what year is it? Are you still doing the big book? Are you still doing your round grades that you did for 7 or 8 years while you were with us at the Fan?
So I think 2014, or maybe it was 2015. It was 2014. 2014 is the first year I started doing it, and I owe a lot of that to our good buddy Brian Broaddus for inviting me and Jeff Kavanaugh at the time to go to Valley Ranch then and then to the Star and do all that for many years. And kept at it. I will say, I got to a point where I tried to do 250 to 300 players because there was like 252 draft spots. Definitely cut back since I went to the Eagle because we're not talking about it as much on the air. And, this year was the first year in 5-6 years that I haven't been on the draft show for the Cowboys. So I didn't feel any pressure to do 300 players. But that being said, I'm probably 3 rounds deep on players. We get to day 3, I'm not going to know. I mean, I may know names, but I won't be great on a lot of information like I have over the years on day 3, guys. But I've done work in probably rounds 1, 2, and 3. Pretty set, at least in my opinion. So
Good.
That's where I'm at. It's a thing where, and also I do have to address this because Adam said that we're all Cowboys fans, and I'm a Packers fan. I know that makes a lot of Cowboys fans angry sometimes, but honestly, the similarities in the Cowboys and Packers is kind of interesting. And I know Cowboys fans might be like, "Oh, it's not as," but like you have the old coach, they have some of the same needs, constantly have some of the same needs. It's kind of interesting the stories Packers and Cowboys correlations I've been able to put together over the years. So, yeah.
And I am a Titans fan,
tighten up.
So, like, to be clear, I mean, if they ever matched up, and that would be an insanely, like, it would piss me off coincidence if the Cowboys and Titans somehow ever wound up in a Super Bowl together, because it seems so astronomically rare that would happen. But with that being said, it gives you a chance to look. I mean, I cheer for the Cowboys. I want them to do well because from a city standpoint, like the city's alive when they're doing well. Everybody's into it. You can talk about it to anybody. It makes it a lot more fun. But at the same time, like, they will always be an incredible just talking point. I don't think there's any other sports talking point that gives and gives and gives and gives as much as the Dallas Cowboys organization does.
And I'm with you. Like
for good and bad.
And I have to like deal with them like matching up in the playoffs and things like that. As
all
a
the
Packer
time.
fan, my entire life. Actually, I'm an owner of the Packers, one of the many. But like I want the Cowboys to win. I want the Cowboys to do well. And I found myself those 2 really big losses. The Dez caught it but didn't catch it game, and the year where the Packers won on the Aaron Rodgers to Jared Cook. I kind of found myself watching those games just being numb. I really wasn't. It's not like I was like, I was just kind of watching it happen because you just got to talk about it. One thing I realized since I left the fan, and I have very, very few negative things to say about my time at the fan. I love my time there. But one thing about that is I've become more of a sports fan, I think, as I went to the Eagle because they're not having to talk about it all the time, and you're almost watching the game from a just here it is, just enjoy it perspective, rather than okay, well after this I'm going to go look up the notes and see what the stats are, and all that stuff. Like it's been a lot more enjoyable, kind of to attack it that way.
Yeah, I'd imagine so. Yeah, it's hard to enjoy the thing you have to do for work for fun, I'd imagine.
Yeah.
So.
Dude, Radiohead doesn't like playing Creep, I mean, I've got better examples than that. That's a little dated. Like, I bet even Bruno Mars gets tired of playing Uptown Funk. No, he doesn't. That song
better
rocks.
Better reference, but it's still pretty new.
Yeah. He loves that, playing that. Come on. That song's great. What are we talking about?
I remember the Nirvana, it's like the 93 Music Awards when they did Smells Like Teen Spirit. Have you ever seen that performance?
No.
Yeah, so it was all pre-recorded. Kurt Cobain was supposed to sing, and they were supposed to mime instruments, and they were just like playing the guitars like this, like sliding their hands up and down. And Dave Grohl was back there just like a toy, one of those little monkey drum things. It was a pretty good performance.
Gosh, so they were mailing it in on purpose, or like were they making fun of the fact that MTV had asked them to fake it, or?
I think it was a lot of it was they didn't like playing the song because it was so big. It was they were asked to kind of mime it, and then they're Nirvana and they just do what they want.
Gosh, And I can see you had to play the same song every night, how much of a beating that would be. And that's why I like when artists like, you never know, each night you may have 15, 20 different songs. You never know.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Let's get into the draft.
Let's do it.
All right, let me add it here. Look at
All
that
right.
magic. So let's get in. I'm going to change over here. So let's talk. It's already started, or it's ready to start. I'm going to start us up and put Jacksonville on the clock. Here's our selection. Here's our pool. What are we thinking? Number one overall.
Okay, is this me? Is this me number one?
It's you number one, but we could talk it through what we're thinking and just yeah.
All right. Well, what I'm thinking is the easy thing and the thing that I put in mine, and I could change mine. I'll put one out Wednesday night at KT Fun Tweets, probably with an updated based on kind of like things I might hear throughout the week. It's boring, but I think I'm going to say Aiden Hutchinson of Michigan. But I don't want to discount the fact that Doug Peterson's the head coach now, and Doug Peterson might be going, "Hey, we need to protect our rookie, our quarterback Trevor Lawrence." So I wouldn't be surprised if they did go with an offensive lineman, whether it's Ike Ikwanu or if it's Evan Neal or something like that. That wouldn't terribly surprise me, but I'll go with the chalk for now and say Aiden Hutchinson.
All right, Aiden Hutchinson off the board. I agree with you. It's a safe pick. It's a good pick. Yeah, I think there's going to be options for tackle when they draft again at 33. So that's my opinion on that. Is I think Ryman might still be there, which is a solid pickup and an upgrade.
This draft's weird. I'm sorry. Like this draft reminds me of 2013, where Eric Fisher went number one. I think the first quarterback that went in 2013 was EJ Manuel at 16. Right. Wow. It wasn't a great year for quarterbacks. Geno Smith was the second quarterback taken that year, and he went in the second round. Now we know people are going to freak out. Oh, the other quarterback was Mike Glennon. Matt Barkley, it's pretty rough, but like those first 10 picks, it was a lot of offensive tackles. It was a lot of defensive linemen. There's a cornerback here and there. Like it was not a sexy draft. And that's what this year's draft reminds me of. It's not like sexy at all. And Aiden Hutchinson's a good player. Would have had 3 really good years at Michigan. I think people look at it and go, okay, well, but he got hurt in this third year. And I think if you wipe out that year, if he wouldn't have got hurt, fractured his ankle, then he would have had 3 straight years, double-digit sacks. To me, he is kind of as no-brainer as they come, but he's not Myles Garrett, and he's not Chase Young, and he's not, some of those guys we've seen. So it's not like incredibly sexy. And I do wonder if Doug Peterson's going, guys, what are we doing here? We need to protect Trevor Lawrence. But Hutchinson, I'll go with the chalk.
He's not that special athlete, but he did perform well, and he's also like that great high character, high leadership guy that is hard to, now granted, that doesn't mean much if you're not also like one of the best players on the field. But I think that's probably a safe way to go. My question is with him is, do you dock a guy at all for smearing the black face all over your face? Like, just a couple more streaks, and he is in danger of not being able to be shown on television. So, how much is too much?
No, it's weird that he wants to even flirt with the idea that someone might even be like, dude, are you doing blackface right now? Like, that's like, it's like, it is too much. I'm not a big fan of the guys who feel like they got to paint their face up. Although, John Randall, kind of a beast. So,
John Randall did it good. He did that. He almost had the Ultimate Warrior.
It's a little John Randall to Aiden Hutchinson's game too, if we're being honest. Good, like he'll be a good run player and things like that. So I don't know. It's a weird spot because like, oh, these teams up here at the top, they all suck, and you want some like immediate help, and a defensive end can immediately help you, I guess. But like, it's just tough to. Not a good year to tank, I guess. Put it that way.
Bingo. It's not a great one. Well, let's go to the next one. I mean, I think that this actually may be the best player in the draft, but not quite as high profile as Hutchinson. It's Kayvon Thibodeau, the Oregon defensive end, and that's the guy that I am going to have them taken here. Even though I know that's not one of their needs necessarily, but they need a lot more than just kind of what is showing on there. And everybody in the league needs a pass rusher. It's something you can build around, and quite honestly, it's one of the positions that can provide the most, surplus value in terms of like what they can produce versus what that production actually costs you on the open market. So I think Thibodeau is probably the best pick here without, maybe they go Stingley, but I think Thibodeau is probably the safer one here to me.
I would agree. I think I think Thibodeau might have a higher upside than Hutchinson as far as athleticism goes. But yeah, I like that pick there.
That's where you get in that real weird world, though, of what does the coach want and how does that matter? And we've seen that be a problem with the Cowboys. Now McCarthy's come in and kind of let them do their own thing, right? He's let the scouts do their job, and that's one thing that we should say, a good thing about McCarthy that we should talk about. Yes. Now Dan Quinn may have some draft influence and things like that, and that's fine. But like I wonder if Dan Campbell is going to be all in on Thibodeau, because the questions about Thibodeau, it's not like he's like a bad dude, but it's one of those guys. And look, I'm very uncomfortable talking about these things without knowing these people. But you hear enough stuff, and the thing that is like they just basically say he's kind of a little arrogant, and he's just gonna like rub people the wrong way. I mean, Dan Campbell's the guy who talks about he wants all of his players to eat ankles. Remember that? He wants them to be ankle biters.
Yeah.
The whole weird, dumb press conference. Oh, our guys are going to – but, I mean, this is very, like, high-end talent, very much potential to be, this sounds crazy, like a 15-sack guy. Like, the potential is all there. Just how much all the scouts are going to like him. Is the coach going to, like, sign off on this dude? That's my question.
Yeah.
Because Dan Campbell, to me, strikes a guy of like, I've been given leeway to build a culture of getting guys that I want. And
I think really they want Hutchinson. If Hutchinson's there, they'd rather take him. Michigan guy, Detroit, it all sets up. But when you took him, I feel like, hey, they may be scrambling a little bit, saying they still need to get that type of position. I don't know exactly how they're going to feel. They've obviously have to have gone through that scenario. But
I'd rather have Thibodeau, to be honest. But
I would too. That's also what I mean. I would rather have him, but I think Hutchinson, gets the crowd going.
Yeah, not for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was not impressed Thibodeau how he left the combine. I don't know if y'all recall that. He just kind of ran 140 and left. I thought that was odd.
You never know what these guys are being told to from agents and things like that as well. So I mean. And there's a lot you got to deal with these guys. Is he like, they talk about wanting to do other stuff. Like he's into cryptocurrency and all that. Well, that's a lot of people. A lot of people are crypto bros. Like I'm not holding that against him. The people at Oregon will tell you that he's a guy who asks a lot of questions, and that's good. That means he cares, right?
Yeah.
You're allowed to care about multiple things. So, I kind of gloss over a lot of those things, but you get to meet the guy maybe, and maybe you feel a little different. I don't know.
Yeah. So my pick here. Okay, this is where I'm kind of with you on how I pick. Like, to me, Stingley is not a first round grade. I don't know if I'm shocking you with that news, but I don't like.
If he gets to the Cowboys, I would
take him there. But I don't know, a guy who got progressively worse. Now, a lot of injury stuff on tape. Like everything I've learned about scouting says, trust the tape, look at the tape, look at the tape. His tape got worse and worse as he progressed through his career. That's where I'm at. Like, how do we justify that? So, but he is a splash player. He's a big name. Houston needs everything. So it's kind of a hard pick here. But I think I'm going to go Stingley.
Yeah.
Houston. I think that's a
no issues.
They would make. Yeah.
The league will be torn on him. I think there's a lot of teams that'll have him. I mean, he's my second corner. I like Sauce Gardner a little more from Cincinnati.
Mm-hmm.
But there will be teams that have Stingley as the number one corner. It's just weird when your best football was that long ago,
Right.
But, the feet are good. The hips are good. The size is what you want. You maybe want his arms to be a little bit longer, but that's fine. Like he's a
Had a
really
lot
good
better players
athlete.
around him a couple of years ago. Keep in mind.
Yeah, and think about what's happened at LSU too. I think that's important. Like what
I
has
think it's
happened
really important for him.
since the national championship? What would make anyone care? I don't really know. The coach gets fired because he brought his girlfriend around. Like there's weird stuff going on over at LSU. Coach O brought a girl to practice. Who cares? We got to fire the guy? Oh, he wasn't trying to recruit. I guess we do. There's a lot of things going on that make you maybe not give a crap. So I'm a Stingley fan to an extent. I don't know if I'm a fan of him at 3, but Houston's going to bind. Like, dude, if you're Houston and you need everything, what do? You go ahead and take who you have graded best because they need it all.
Yeah. And he'll, obviously he'll get people talking, which is always an important thing. So you're back on the clock, KT.
Yeah, I'm going to go with I think teams will be split on this too. I think most teams will probably have Ike Ekwonu as the number one offensive tackle. I really think they do at some point. The Jets really need to take care of Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson can't be getting beat around. So I am going to look at offensive tackle for them. I know they need some needs on defense and things like that. Could go, man. You know what? I could switch it though. You know what? Let's go with another edge. Actually, I'm changing my mind here. Defensive-minded head coach. Let's go Trayvon Walker from Georgia.
Trayvon Walker from Georgia to the Jets.
People are going to be, and this might be, this guy could go first. Honestly, right. I don't know that I would, like that as the first pick in the draft. But I think he's an excellent player. His best stuff is coming. It's hard to stand out on that Georgia defense with so many guys that are going to get drafted. This is a dude who is all set to get better. They don't remind me of the same player, but I'm using a big leap. The big leap is Rashawn Gary. Here comes a Packer reference, right? Like right. Rashawn Gary was like, where are the stats? Where are the stats? Where are the stats? It's like, well, if you give him 2 years, like the stats they're gonna be there. Trayvon Walker's got a chance to be a freak. Great kid, leader, all that stuff too goes with it. You're gonna ask questions about production. Well, to me, it's not about how many sacks you're getting. It's about how many pressures you're getting on the quarterback. And I think he's going to get a lot. So you can move him around, play him anywhere. Solid, a huge defensive guy with the Jets. So I think that's I'll go with Trayvon Walker. I wouldn't be surprised if they were jumping for joy if Thibodeau were to get to them as well. But yeah, we'll go with that. We'll go Trayvon Walker.
All right. Solid pick. I like it.
All right. I agree. I mean, needs a lot of different things, and defensive-minded guy, that can make the most impact to your team early on. Certainly all these needs, again, like listed as linebacker. No one's taken a linebacker this high. Like even the Cowboys took in the linebacker with Micah Parsons. It only looks great because he's such a great pass rusher. If he was as good as he is as just a linebacker, we'd all be like, oh, it was a good pick. It was a good pick. But it still wouldn't have the value to it that it does now because of how great of a pass rusher he is. So with that being said, at 5 for me, I see linebacker there again. But for the Giants, they need to start the rebuild, and they're going to get a tackle to pair with their first-round pick from 2020 on the other side. This is where I say Ike Ekwonu comes off, and it's going to be him or Neal or Cross, right? One of those 3 guys is going to go there at 5 and 7, and what order necessarily they go, that's up for debate. But, I mean, tell me if you think I'm wrong on that, KT, because it feels like that's a given.
No, and if Ike goes number 1, I wouldn't be surprised. If he goes 2, 3, or 4, I wouldn't be surprised. Ike Ekwonu is a great pick. He's my second tackle. I like Evan Neal a little bit more, and that really has to do with Evan Neal's just freak size. He's a monster. There are times in pass rush where you're like, you want Ekwonu to be a little bit better. But dude, it's all there, and he's going to get bigger and all that stuff. So it's going to get stronger, is what I mean. So like, it's all there, and I think for me, I mean, there are big rumors that Charles Cross is the guy, and I do think Charles Cross is the clear third offensive tackle. We saw the Giants do this a couple years ago, even though it was a different head coach in charge and a different GM. But we saw them take Andrew Thomas a little bit earlier than people thought out of Georgia. So I wouldn't be surprised. I like your pick of Icky. I think that's good.
Icky. So we're picking Ekwonu? Let's make sure.
Yeah, we'll take Ekwonu. Yeah,
All right.
Sir.
All right. And so
like Adam's got the tough test of the Panthers. You got a tough one here, dude.
Is this where it goes?
I think this is where I take Willis.
All right.
You're
gonna take the QB1? Good call.
He's my top QB. I think he's what they're going to look for. If they were going to move for another quarterback, Mayfield, I think they would have already done it, possibly. But yeah, we're going with the quarterback. The team that needs a quarterback. And
I'm good with it.
Yeah, that's
it is wild because you're there at 6 and you're like, well, do I need to pull the trigger? I don't necessarily think Baker is an upgrade over Sam Darnold, or is he? I don't know. What's going to happen with Jimmy Garoppolo? The Steelers situation is to be determined. There's a lot of crap that still needs to happen on the quarterback market. What's Seattle going to do? Are they going to sit there with Drew Lock and Geno Smith, or are they going to actually try to bring someone in? Is Jordan Love available? There's a lot of good quarterback questions. Is Houston really going with Davis Mills? I guess, there's a bunch of quarterback questions that still need to be panned out. And if you're in the boat of taking one, for my money, Malik Willis is quarterback 1 in this draft. And 6 is probably too high, but it's quarterbacks, and quarterbacks got to go. So, nothing wrong with it.
And that's with being a quarterback, it's going to be an overdraft. But if that's your guy, you got to take him.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with the thought that he goes that high. I just think we all agree that would be too high.
Absolutely. Yeah. Giants at 7. I'm going to take Sauce Gardner. They need a little defensive help right there. I think he's my number 1 corner in the draft. I think he is a sure thing. I really do. For all the questions that surround Stingley, they're all kind of warranted. I really don't know what you can say about Sauce Gardner that's not that guy's incredible. He's a really good player. Good size, all that stuff. You can lock him down. That's kind of what you're looking for these days at the cornerbacks. I mean, you don't have many who can go locking down. I mean, the dude's 6'2.5". And his nickname is Sauce. So I mean, doesn't that say enough?
Right.
Sauce. 3 interceptions each the last 3 years. That's pretty good in college. You don't play many games. So 9 total interceptions in 3 years. Really good.
Yeah, I like him. He's fluid. He checks all the boxes for a cornerback. Nothing wrong with that pick.
Well, then I think here is a great way to not have to force yourself, because they have so many needs, to not have to force yourself into taking a quarterback or a guy that would obviously be reached. And the best way to kind of organically tank and keep yourself guaranteeing that you could have a high pick in next year's draft, take an offensive lineman, because they're not really going to change all that much for you. So give me Evan Neal in this spot. Again, I know their list isn't on there as needing a tackle, but they need all sorts of offensive line help, and I'm sure they can work in some shuffles if they get a talent like him, into their team at 8. They still got to do something at quarterback, obviously, as KT mentioned, but that would be a nice, solid, double, if not triple, with the potential to be a home run pick. And they don't really have to, go up, go out of the worst place to be in the NFL up until the NFL draft comes, right? And then it's the best place to be. So they could very well be in that spot next year. I think they'll compete for the worst team in the NFL. And you do that by not necessarily addressing the skill positions first.
No faith in Mariota?
Not a whole lot, no, because I've been there. I know what that's about.
Oh yeah.
Arthur Smith, too, the head coach. You think he's going, man, why did I take this job?
Yeah. Sometimes those guys, man, these days, like, how much pressure? I mean, gosh, for a guy like that, like, you almost have to get your quarterback has to come out within the next 2 years, and you have to be able to get him. But another thing, though, by doing it this way, you can kind of buy yourself some time because you can make the argument, well, I didn't have my quarterback in place, right? And next year, if the quarterback class is a lot better, which we presume it will be just because this quarterback class is such garbage,
Yeah.
I think that's probably a solid play.
Well, the thing I'll say, too, if Willis is off the board, Willis is a guy that could get the fan base excited for year. And I don't think Kenny Pickett's going to get anyone, like, terribly excited. But we saw how they always act like Atlanta typically always acts like they're going for it. And that's why they took Kyle Pitts at 4 last year when it was clearly, no, you could go take Justin Fields or you could take another quarterback or something like that. Mm-hmm. So it'll be interesting to see what their mood is. They've set themselves up where if they wanted to pull the cord on Kenny Pickett right there and come in and immediately start day one, potentially, they could do that. But I like what you did there with Evan Neal. Evan Neal, to me, is as safe as they get, man. I think that guy's awesome.
Yeah, really like it. I think Pickett's a bust. I don't see it at all.
I don't either. Yeah. I get where it's very Davis Mills to me, honestly. Like, okay, you're okay. Like, you're not going to, like, kill you, but you're not going to go consistently win 8 games, 9 games. You're not going to do that with those guys. Those guys are not going to win a lot.
Nope. So it's my pick, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you got another tough one with Seattle here, who needs everything.
Need everything. I don't see it. My next quarterback is Ritter, which I don't think can't see it. I go with something. Yeah, I'm going with Hamilton. I think he's a fantastic safety. He fits that mold of the defense. I think it's smart at this point for them to try to maybe rebuild, starting with the defense if there's no quarterback available. So that's my pick. Kyle Hamilton, Seattle, number 9.
That's very Pete Carroll pick for sure. They are. I can't imagine that they're going into this year with Drew Lock as their quarterback. That just seems like something they would be smart enough to not do. But we'll see. They just gave Geno Smith pretty good money to be their backup. So I got the Jets at 10. I'm going to go ahead and take Garrett Wilson, the wide receiver from Ohio State. They are going to start looking for weapons for Zach Wilson. They've learned. I would be surprised to see the Jets take 2 or 3 wide receivers in this draft in the first few rounds because they know they've got to get some help for Zach Wilson. And you think about it. You get Garrett Wilson in there, he can be your outside type of guy. You have Elijah Moore, who's a really good player. Right. They got some pretty good building blocks there. So yeah, Garrett Wilson.
Yeah,
that's probably out of those 10 picks that we've just laid out right there. That's probably the one I'm most confident in is the 10th one.
Really?
The first 5, yeah.
Yeah.
If you're about to say like which one of these would be on the money, I think that's the one I would bet my money on. The 10th one.
I guess it's a good pick. I don't disagree. The logic makes sense. They got the quarterback. You got to put the things he needs around him.
Roy's got the tough task of the Washington Commanders. Holy cow. What do you do with that team?
Yeah, I mean, quarterback is a need, but they just got Carson Wentz, and if they're going to try for something, it's hard to take a quarterback that high and then convince the fan base that he's not ready to go. So for me, I'm looking at the other positions. Their offenses or their defense rather is at least from a names perspective, especially on the defensive line, they're pretty set, and that's where a lot of the talent is left. I guess I would say Cross potentially here, but I also am kind of looking at McDuffie and just saying maybe they would go cornerback and try to beef up a little bit of their defense, knowing – I mean, honestly, if you're good at the corner position in the NFC East, you actually have a huge advantage because the wide receivers aren't all that good. I mean, CeeDee Lamb now is kind of on his own in terms of respectability. Yeah, Michael Gallup's going to be back at some point in the season, but then it's a bunch of guys that have never really performed consistently. The Giants have a trio of high-paid, big-name wide receivers that have never really produced anything of significance. And the Eagles, might have some decent name wide receivers, but you're unsure if the quarterback can get it to them consistently. So I'm going to go with McDuffie here for the Commanders.
All right. That's a good pick. I like your logic. Yeah, the Giants don't even have any. They're the same boat as the Eagles. They don't have anybody to throw the ball.
Galladay was hurt in and out of the lineup all last season. He'll probably be better this year, but even still, they're a ways off.
I think you're right. It's like McLaurin might be the best wide receiver in the division at this point, which is kind of crazy. You're counting on CeeDee Lamb to maybe be that. Maybe Devontae Smith turns into that, but it might be Terry McLaurin.
I was going to say the Giants' high-priced wide receiver from a year ago, or not high-priced, but high-cost draft pick, Kadarius Toney, may already be on his way out, as he decided he didn't want to show up for voluntary workouts and try to improve himself amongst his team. So that'll be another one to watch. But yeah, I mean, you get good corners in the NFC East, and you have a huge advantage because not only is the wide receiver group not great, but the quarterbacks aren't that great either outside of Dak Prescott.
So you took my pick that I would have selected here, Roy. So I don't know much about Minnesota. I think they're solid at tackle and wide receiver. To me right now, it seems like Karlaftis makes the most sense.
I can see them going defensive line for sure. They did sign Zadarius Smith to go along with Danielle Hunter, but they're always Zadarius Smith's back is out too, so who knows what happens with him. So that's definitely a good building block for sure.
Yeah, and if this to me is if the draft falls anywhere like this, I see this as a trade back spot potentially for Minnesota, but I'm going Karlaftis.
George Karlaftis, yeah, good player, solid player. I think you kind of get with Karlaftis too. I mean, there's potential that he could fall to the 20s. Is he there when the Cowboys are up? He might be. I think he's like a really good player. It's like, how excited do you get about the guy that's just good and solid and takes on blockers and does his job there, but he's just – you never get the vibe when watching Karlaftis that you're getting the 10-sack guy. It's just you're rolling the dice for those guys in the first round. So, I get the
yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
I was to say Dallas has that guy in Lawrence. Lawrence doesn't get a lot of sacks, but man, he makes an impact in so many, aspects of the defensive game. It's not that I say Karlaftis is that caliber.
Sure.
But, if you got somebody that can just play good run defense, good pass rush, good, take some, like you said, I think it's worthy of a middle of the first round pick.
So we took it. I've got Houston here at 13. Who did we take at 3 with them? Stingley?
Stingley,
yes, we did.
This is a team that clearly needs everything. I'm going to go ahead and put in I'm going to put in Charles Cross here.
Okay.
I think it's I think that's the play. Okay. I could see them taking a wide receiver to try to help out, but they just gave Brandon Cooks money, and they God, who else do they even have anymore? Jesus, the Texans have the least exciting team in the league. I don't know why I don't even have their.
Well, no, that was pretty much it. It's him, Dorsett. I think Philip Dorsett.
Oh, Nico Collins.
Okay. I
probably messed up there. I bet we probably should have taken a wide receiver, but that's okay. Let's go Charles Cross. I'm okay with that.
Okay. Well,
they got to protect the quarterback too.
I would have gone Charles Cross here with the Ravens to play him at guard first and then move him kind of hopefully become a tackle in the future. But now, because it's Lamar Jackson, and because I don't believe in Rashad Bateman, who they drafted a couple years and just has never kind of panned out, I'm going to take Drake London here. Give our man Lamar another weapon. I think of Lamar as a really good quarterback. Like, I guess I do still have questions a little bit about his arm and his accuracy, but like he had those numbers in college, so it's hard to kind of totally take that away from him. I want to give him a chance to show that that isn't a fluke when he has good players around him. And Hollywood Brown, that's Devin Duvernay. You give them a guy like Drake London, I think you can kind of start to build something there. You already have the great pass catcher, maybe, the second best or best tight end in the league, Mark Andrews, as your safety valve.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And that's the kind of receiver I think that, Jackson needs. So this one I'm torn on. Because I think Linderbaum fits their running scheme well. And what's his name? Kelsey getting a little old, but I don't think they want to take a center to sit for a year or two. And I'm going to pick them with the guy I want more than anything to fall to 24. I think they're going to take Devin Lloyd and shore up that middle of their defense there.
Well, I could easily see that. I think that's a good pick. I kind of wrote up my own little mock, and it's about a good spot for Devin Lloyd.
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be a lot of Eagles and Saints in the next few picks. For me, Saints are a team that, my God, they need a little bit of everything. I think
you got both of their next two picks, so keep that in mind.
Yeah, and I think with wide receivers, you could see wide receivers falling because there's so many of them. So I'm going to go with Zion Johnson, the tackle / guard from Boston College. They need a little help there on the offensive line there. He can play tackle and guard. They need tackle help. He can play tackle. I think a team's going to try him at tackle. I think if the Cowboys were to draft him, the Cowboys would play him at left guard. But Zion Johnson can play tackle. So that's what I think we're talking about there.
I think that's one of the safest picks, I think, in the whole draft. Like, I see him, his game translates. He's gonna walk on, plug and play guy. Yeah, good pick.
For the Chargers, I just am feeling so strongly that they're going to go wide receiver, and it says neat. Like, I don't know, man. I mean, Keenan Allen and Mike Williams is a pretty solid ass duo, but I know that probably one of those guys is on their way out when they've, it comes time that they got to pay Mike Williams, because he has not been paid yet, right? And Keenan Allen just got a 4-year deal for $20 million before.
Mike Williams got the deal though. Yeah, he got the bag. 3 at 60.
Okay, so he got 3 for 60. So they got two $20 million wide receivers. Just by getting another one behind them, I mean, they can kind of, I guess, if either of those guys has any type of a fall off year, they can get out of $20 million pretty easily. So that's kind of where I look at that and say, hey, I've read that the Chargers have that need. I mean, yeah, they could go tackle here if there was one that is available, but I think, outside of the guys that we've already taken, there's a little bit of a step down where we're looking at along the offensive line. So I'll go with Jameson Williams because I think he is still that like top tier wide receiver. And if he weren't coming off an injury, he might be the number one.
Sure.
Yeah, totally agree.
That's a good guy to go do a little dirty work for you. Let those guys do what they do on the outside. Let Jameson Williams party in the slot and running guys off and things like that. So, yeah, I like that a lot.
Well, and you don't have to rush him back. You have receiver help. I know he's progressing well in his injury, but I think they wouldn't have to feel that pressure to just have him ready week 1 to keep their offense going. So that makes sense. How did I get stuck with the Eagles again? So I just took a linebacker. This is a hard pick.
We'll do it.
I don't think they're going to go receiver. I like Booth. I like Booth a lot. think he's got a lot of positives. Man, this is a tough one. Yeah, I'm going to go Booth. I think they'll maybe a bit of a reach, but I think they're going to keep working on their defense because their offense skill position seems fairly set. I just don't see them going for that.
Yeah, the Eagles pretty unpredictable. Like they have a hard time figuring out what they're going to do. You never know. Back to the Saints for me again. I think wide receivers got to be in play, especially who knows? I mean, is Michael Thomas's career done? Is he still unhappy? There's a lot of questions there. But it's not going to be Treylon Burks. I think they go back to an Ohio State guy. I'll go Chris Olave, wide receiver there. I have Treylon Burks graded over him personally, but Treylon Burks, I don't know if that unless Michael Thomas is not going to be around, I'm not sure that it makes a lot of sense to go get Treylon Burks because Treylon Burks is, that is a big dude who's not getting separation and things like that. And, Michael Thomas is a big dude and he does not get a ton of separation, but you just throw it up to him and he goes and catches it. But he did not play last year. So there's a lot going on there. Olave's a good player too. They gotta have some firepower for Jameis. And Kamara, look, these running backs don't last long anymore. We're about to see Kamara dip. We've seen him dominate fantasy for 4 years now. You're about to see the Kamara dip coming, sooner than later. So, yeah, go with Olave.
Probably very true. Well, 2 Ohio State guys paired up there in New Orleans, and Pittsburgh rather is happy to see that they went and went away from a need that they both have, because I think the Steelers would make quarterback number 2 here. I'm going to go with Kenny Pickett. I mean, Mike Tomlin likes winners. He obviously doesn't, has never really been in a situation where he's done like a full rebuild, right? He's always just kind of been a reload type of guy. And they have players at skill positions and certainly a defense that kept them in games when Ben Roethlisberger was basically a scarecrow in the backfield and couldn't throw the ball down the field. They were still in games, and they still wound up picking 20th, in the draft with that type of quarterback play. So give me Kenny Pickett here, and they probably think they can, get right back into the AFC North conversation.
Yeah. I'd have gone Ritter there, but yeah.
He's got to go sometime, Yeah. It's weird because Pickett is right now. Pickett's probably better than Ritter.
Right.
You just don't see any growth potential. You see he is what he is guy.
Yeah.
And
he is
with
what
Ritter.
He is now.
Yeah. And Ritter, I like a little bit, but I'm not crazy about him either. I mean, the guy I feel more confident about is Malik Willis, because I think Malik Willis is the guy who's capable of putting him in the game and crap happens around you, and then he can turn into a much bigger Jalen Hurts, And the tools are there. You can rip a football, but I don't think any of these guys see the field great, Ritter, I think, sees it a little bit, but it's not. It's just. I don't want any of these guys, to be honest. I don't think any of them are very good. So.
No, I don't want any of them either, but I think these teams will stay when you get down to the 20s, because here's the thing. This first round, when it comes to quarterbacks, why is it important that you take a guy in the first round and it's more valuable to take him in the first round at pick 30 than it is to take him at pick 45, even though that's 15 picks difference. Why? Because if he happens to be worth a damn, you get that 5th year for nothing, right? Yeah. So that's why I think, we always talk about, guys getting overdrafted. Well, there is a somewhat of a strategy that if you think this guy's going to be anything at all, then take him in the first round versus waiting until the second or the third, so you can guarantee yourself that extra year of control. So I think that's where, into the 20s, I mean, the over-under, according to Vegas, is 2.5 quarterbacks in the first round, and I think it could be as many as 4, even still.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, yeah, and Pickett doesn't have to start right away. I think they can roll with Trubisky and still be a competitive team. So it's not terrible, especially if you let him sit and you get that 5th year option. So you're going to have to help me here, KT, because I get these guys confused. New England, I think the way it lays out, unless they pick somebody I just don't have a clue about, I think they're going to go defensive line here.
Now, I'll tell you what, before we do New England right now, like the Cowboys are 4 picks away, right?
Right.
Are there enough players on the board for both of you to say that, like, no matter how it falls, the Cowboys are going to get somebody I'm into? Because as I'm looking at it, I mean, I would love if Jordan Davis somehow wound up at 24.
Yeah,
I don't think the Cowboys would take him, but that would be like my wet dream, personally.
If it went down like this, the Cowboys would be very comfortable where they're at right now. And also, they're knowing that they would probably be happy that 2 quarterbacks went. And I think the Cowboys would be thrilled with the way it's laid out.
Yeah.
So I think the guys that they could take at this point, Kenyon Green from A&M, the offensive guard. I think he'd immediately start at left guard.
Yep.
I think Treylon Burks, is Burks still on the board? Yeah, I think Treylon Burks could be a guy they would consider. I don't know that they really want to go wide receiver first round, but I think it's something they would consider. Linderbaum on the board. I mean, they'd be very happy with the way this is laying out.
Mm-hmm.
So I haven't watched a lot of either Davis or White. They run the 3-4? Can Davis play the end on a 3-4?
Probably not. He's more of a pure nose,
okay.
and that's
who I get.
That's fine. I mean, he's solid. Patriot. That does feel like a very Patriots pick,
and that's what
Like, I mean, they may see what's the name of the old guy, Richard Seymour type qualities. Jordan Davis. Yeah, that's something they might see there. But there's an argument to be made for Devontae White. I mean, he's a solid player as well. I have more late 20s, early 30s, area for me. I think Belichick always keep in mind that Belichick likes drafting, defensive linemen and defensive backs. Those are all the things they need. But man, I think when you look at their offense and look how stale it is, I think they've got to do something about that offense because that's a decent team that can kind of game plan its way to success every once in a while. They can sneak out some wins just by having a good game plan, playing good all-around defense. Where is any explosion offensively for them? It's running the ball. That's it. I mean, that's the only thing they can do. They're the team that tried to junk up the game and run the ball against the Bills.
I know
60 times, and they did it.
They won one game like that.
Yeah. So I mean, they're not. I think they would be fooling themselves if they're not messing around at wide receiver. But this is your pick, man, not me.
All right. So you've convinced me, and I'm going to go with who I think the receiver who's left, who I think has the most upside. I'm going to put Pickens here. Pick Pickens.
Woo!
I think you've convinced me. I was thinking D-line, but let's get a beast out there on the edge for
he might be the best wide receiver of this draft.
Yeah, I didn't like him at first, but the more I've watched him, read about him, I'm kind of a believer in old Pickens.
We got the injury things are questionable. Those are things that bother you. I just think, man, there's things going on with him. If you look at just how tall he is, 6'3", comes in at 195. He's not, a lot of the 6'3" guys, they end up kind of being guys you can't get a lot of, separation. And I think he can get a little bit of separation. I think he's a good route runner. I think he finishes. Man, I think that's the guy you just throw it up and he's going to move the chains for you and things like that. So, I mean, no, like everything about him doesn't blow you off the page. Like Treylon Burks is a freak, right? That's a guy you would hand the ball to some and things like that. But this guy is more like, okay, I've got something we can kind of develop something with Mac Jones there,
Yeah, and then, good. All right, you're up, Green Bay.
Wow.
You got your team.
This is my Green Bay Packers here that I own.
I feel nicely for you.
Yes.
Yeah, it did fall nicely for me for the Packers, but again, they haven't taken a wide receiver in about 20 years in the first round, and Javon Walker. They do have 2 picks here in the first round. They have 4 picks in the first 2 rounds. They got a lot of things they can do, and I would assume they would take a wide receiver or 2 after Devontae Adams left, but I don't see them doing it first. I'm going to go with Jordan Davis at Georgia, and he will back up Kenny Clark in their 3-4. Because I can't imagine what would happen to the Packers if Kenny Clark ever got hurt. There would be a big hole for you to run through at all times. Kenny Clark was one of the most underrated superstars in this league. And if he got hurt, you would be in such a bind. It'd be great to spell him and have him and Jordan Davis. You could run some packages where you put them both on the field at the same time, early on first downs. It is a 1 or 2 down guy. This is not a guy you're going to have on the field much on third downs, but I think is effective enough, and I think that's kind of what they're looking for is a big body on the inside. So Jordan Davis is my pick.
All right, good pick. That's why you talked me out of him.
You think they'll be drafting a backup?
I mean, they're a team that drafted – not only did they draft a backup quarterback a few years famously, they drafted a backup running back in the second round that same year in A.J. Dillon, who is now a quasi-starter.
Yeah.
But they know that Kenny Clark is getting on up there in age. He's somehow always healthy. But I think they will protect themselves. I think that's a guy they'll go for there.
There's nothing wrong with strengthening your strength.
Yeah, and the thing, Kenny Clark is he is a little different than Jordan Davis in that he stays on the field. Like he's a third down guy. Jordan Davis probably not going to be on the field much on third down. Packers, one of the worst run defenses in the league last year and the year before that. So I think they want to get a little help on that. And there's a lot of things they've shown that they've been willing to do with to get creative with some of their fronts and things like that. So, yeah.
Oh, good pick. All right, Roy.
Travis Jones, the Connecticut guy, Travis Jones, is a guy they like too. So just kind of keep that in mind.
Right.
Well, it's possible that the Cardinals might not feel like they need, that much offensive line help because Kyler Murray can kind of make it happen on his own at any time. He is the toughest tackle in the NFL, in my opinion. But with that being said, right, he obviously could not do it all on his own. As late in the season, they really crumbled as a team. So I think I'm going to get him some help and some protection. I'm going to get him Raymond from Central Michigan and just give him another big body to work behind. Funny thing, you don't want these big bodies to be too big because Kyler's so small, and there were always questions about him coming out of the league. But I feel like he resets his throwing position so often and can kind of move himself into space and get that throw off more, quicker than most guys can. So I didn't worry about that as much and don't worry about that as much with him as I might with a guy like Drew Brees, who really wasn't able to get off of his own throwing, plane very quickly.
Well, you said it best, though. They need athletic offensive linemen. That's what Raymond is. So I love it. All right, Adam, you've got a lot of pressure. Cowboys Nation's counting on you, man. You're the Stephen Jones in this situation.
Oh, God, come on. Just call me Jerry. So I'm going to pass on Linderbaum because I don't think he fits their running scheme. I think Linderbaum's more of a zone guy. Not that he can't be functional, but he's not Travis Frederick.
Good pass.
Dean, I love Dean. I'd love to have that speed on the defense. I just don't see it. Wyatt help the interior defensive line. A lot of options. You scroll down. I'm stalling, but I'm going to go with Green. I think they got to fix the guard, get in there, protect Dak, and we move on.
Plug and play left guard, and then I love Tyron Smith, but we are to the point, fair or not, that we got to think about this like a Sean Lee type thing. We got to stop counting on the guy to be you need 20 games. You need 20 games out of these guys to win Super Bowls, right?
Right.
17 and then 3 playoff games or 2, whatever. So 20 games. Tyron is a 10-game guy at this point. And I want those 10 games because he's going to be really good in those 10 games. So what Kenyon Green gives you is the ability to go play left tackle if Tyron were to get hurt. You still have Connor McGovern. The interesting thing about the Cowboys, are they getting anything out of fourth-rounder Josh Ball ever? That's an interesting thing. I disagree
basically
with
written about KT. I mean, not that I was rooting for him all that much to begin with, given his
Right.
own, sketchy past. But having said that, like, then, okay, hey, if the guy ever shows up on any practice report or any type of positive report, like, then I will mention his name again. And quite honestly, that never happened. Now he was injured quite a bit of that, and I think maybe they put him on IR at some point. But even still, like, we haven't heard a whisper of his name being involved as a part of their plans or as being someone that could move into any of these roles in the near future.
No, I think you nailed it, man. I think that's all. I mean, like, Kenyon Green is a really good player. He can do, and good teams have this. The Cowboys have struggled with this over the years. Good teams have this. A guy can jump out and play tackle if you need him to, but he's got it. He locked down left guard. It's a hole in your offense. Dak needs to be protected. Kenyon Green is so good. I love that pick, and that's what I would do there. So, yeah. I have the Bills. The Bills need the Bills do have a hole in their interior offensive line. So I feel like Linderbaum is a very good Buffalo Bills pick right there. Tyler Linderbaum to Buffalo.
All right.
They would be thrilled with that. Boy, and it's funny that we've all ended up picking for the teams that we actually do. We did not plan that, but KT's got another Green Bay pick coming up here in two submissions, so that's fun. For the Titans, I mean, yeah, all those needs and then some. They need a lot, and at this point, like, there's no one necessarily I feel great about, but they have a particular player that they need some leverage for. And they need to get some weapons for Ryan Tannehill. Apparently, like, Julio Jones lost it completely. And what a bust of a trade that was to have given up what they gave up for him. They don't have another pick until the third round of this draft. And so you kind of got to get somebody in there that can bring something to the table. Granted, they traded for Robert Woods, right? They got Robert Woods from the Rams. But I still think maybe a Sky Moore here is a guy that winds up being a part of their conversation, or Traylon Burks. And I guess I didn't realize Traylon was still in there, but I have Traylon over Sky, so I will take Traylon there at number 26.
All right, yeah, I felt you leaning wide receiver, so I wanted to bring it up.
Yeah, glad you did, because, I mean, the other positions are true as well. Like, they just lost Roger Saffold. They definitely have needs. They do have needs at edge rusher, but, I mean, look at their defensive line is pretty solid. Like, I know he's not quite Aaron Donald, but he had an Aaron Donald-like performance against the Bengals. Jeffrey Simmons, who had 3 sacks when they sacked Joe Burrow 8 times in that game. So I don't know what all the need for edge rusher necessarily is right away. Harold Landry's still coming back. Bud Dupree hadn't been healthy at all, but he's still coming back. So I don't know if I necessarily agree with that. But, yeah, give me a wide receiver and help Ryan Tannehill and help that offense, which desperately needs it.
Well, I like it because they're a running team, and like KT said earlier, he's got that ability. You can hand the ball off to him. You can work him into what you do well. And
well, you don't want to take hey, they got a guy that runs the ball quite a bit, right? They got a guy that handles the ball quite a bit, and they're happy to give it to him. But it'd be nice to take some pressure off of Derrick Henry, because, God, that ain't gonna last forever. KT said Alvin Kamara, but Derrick Henry's actually been ridden more than Alvin Kamara over the last 3 seasons.
Yes. All right, so it's me up here with the Buccaneers, and they lost what offensive line? Is that right?
No, you did. I thought I heard an F in there.
No, the Buccaneers. Just based on unless they're going to move Tyler Smith to guard, to me, it's Devontae Wyatt. They got to replace Sue. They got to get something in the middle. So I'm going Devontae Wyatt.
Yeah, Devontae White makes sense there. That's a good spot for them. Back to the Packers for me. Wait, is this me? Yeah, this is me, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go with. I think they mentioned speed as a thing, and Sky Moore probably fills that a little bit for you. But I'm going to go. So Devin Lloyd's gone. It could be Nakobe Dean. They need help right there at linebacker. But I think offensive lineman is going to be a bit of a thing too. They had to cut Billy Turner for a salary cap room. One of the guys that they had visit. When I'm looking at their 30 visits. Well, Traylon Burks was the guy that I had in mind there, and then Roy took him. Damn it. We're going to go with Trevor Penning, offensive tackle, Northern Iowa.
Okay.
I don't love it.
They got him ranked low on PFF, but his average draft position amongst like mock drafts is a lot higher than what PFF has him graded as. So,
yeah, for sure, a top 30 guy. He has a ton of penalties, and that's the problem. That's gonna maybe scare him off from some teams, but it's all there. He's a really good player. Two for the Chiefs in a row here.
I know.
Yeah. So obviously, I mean, the Chiefs would love to still have a great wide receiver here available. We all know that they'll probably, target that position because even if Tyreek Hill had stayed, they were still kind of light there. They lost Byron Pringle, who went to the Bears. Mecole Hardman has never really lived up to what a lot of people thought he could and should be with Patrick Mahomes. It's kind of like if you can't make it work with Patrick Mahomes, then the problem's probably you, bro. That's probably on you. So I could see them going in a couple different ways here, but I think one of these picks is going to be a wide receiver. So I'll take Sky off the board here for you, and you can have I think what is the harder decision probably for what the Chiefs will be dealing with, Adam.
So my dad, huge Kansas City Chiefs fan, lived in Kansas City for 25 years. I actually watched the Cowboys Kansas City game at his house on Thanksgiving with all my family who are Kansas City fans. So I have a fair idea. I think I'm going to go with one. I think they're going to take a pick for the future. Where'd he go? I think they're going to go with Jobu.
Oh, yeah. If any team can do a pick like that, they're one of them. Yeah, that's the Ojabo pick is interesting because anyone, I could see the Packers taking him. I could see the Patriots, the Chiefs, Ravens, those teams that are constantly in the playoffs, that constantly build their teams correctly. Those are the teams that will take a pick on him and it'll pay off down the road. So I absolutely love it.
Well, and they just
scared off.
I think they got one more year with Clark. They can get him healed up, get him ready for 2023, maybe the end of, I don't know how long it'll be till he comes back, but yeah, that's my feeling there on that pick. Wasn't as hard as you thought, Roy.
So we know, is this me for the Bengals here?
It is you.
Sure.
So we know that offensive line is what they want, but that's to me is a problem because I don't like the fact that all of my first round offensive linemen are gone. So I'm going to do something else because the player on my board that needs to go in the first round that we haven't put in there yet is Jermaine Johnson. Jermaine Johnson of Florida State.
Yeah.
Again, that pick is probably an offensive lineman, but we would look like fools if we don't get Jermaine Johnson in the first round today. So I'm going to get him in there. For the old Bengals, they'll fix their offensive line later.
Well, they've added
unless they don't,
right?
Anybody you think that also should be in this first round that you would recommend here before I take who I'm going to take? Because the guy I'm taking probably ain't a first round grade.
Okay, let's see here. Keep going.
Might be Adam's first round grade.
You could make an argument on Dax Hill there, but I don't know that I think we have to take him there. Let's see. Keep going here. You could definitely make an argument on Ritter just for.
Well, that is who I will be making the argument on. I think they conclude day one with a pick that does get the fan base excited. They could still argue that they got the best quarterback in the draft, and they can argue that they did that with the very last pick in the first round. It's a great way to kind of set up tomorrow, knowing that they have another pick within those first couple of picks there in round 2. So, I think I think the Lions probably do well to finally pull the trigger here and get their potential quarterback of the future.
No, absolutely. I think that's the player right there at that spot, right? Or it's hold another team ransom that wants to get up to 32 and get a quarterback and have a 5th year on him, like you mentioned earlier. I mean, I think that's the absolute play there. And that would leave a lot of the.
I do think that 5th round thing, it just is so much more crucial for quarterbacks. That's why we see quarterbacks go in that first round. Because, like, if he's not worth a damn, then, I mean, you take him later. But if you think he could be anything at all, and he is, then chances are what he gets in that 5th round option is going to be way less than what he actually is worth on the open market.
I tell you what, the pick with Kenyon Green at 24 and Linderbaum at 25 and Garrett Wilson at 10. And it's keep looking. Devin Lloyd at 15. Those are all like off the top of my head, I'm like, yeah, those all make sense and get 100% see that happening. Like on the money. This is a hard thing to predict. You don't know what teams are thinking. We know what the team needs, but you don't know what these guys are thinking.
We're not predicting at all that no one really can is once the first move gets made, what goes on from there. With all these teams with multiple picks in the first, multiple picks in the second to maneuver with, 4 trades in the first round is I'm comparing it to the number of quarterbacks that get taken. I think the over-under for Vegas is probably 2.5 again on that. I actually didn't look that one up. I'm sorry, but probably should have done that. But what do you think trades-wise? 3 are happening for sure.
Oh, I think this will be, and the trades will start happening. I bet we start seeing the trades happen. We've already seen some happen with what happened at the back half of the teens there with the Eagles and Saints. Yep. Mm-hmm. But I think the trades will start happening on Wednesday or maybe this happens up against it on Thursday or whatever. But I think we will see more trades than usual this year. And I know that's the thing that some people say happens every year before the draft. But this is a draft where it's really teams are going to be okay, I really like this guy. Well, this is the guy I like. Usually it's, well, I really like this guy, but this guy's a better player. We have to take this guy. This is not Joey Bosa, Zeke, Jalen Ramsey, all they're crowded at the top. These are very tangible type things do we need this guy? Do we need that position? Is he okay? Yeah, I mean, he's okay. Now it's deep. This draft is super deep. COVID made this draft really deep because a lot of guys went back to college too. I mean, you look at that. I mean, I think even the undrafted free agents are going to have guys that, probably in other years would have gotten drafted. If you look at what happened with COVID, but this is I guess a more specialized, focused draft because the sex appeal is not there. So God knows what happened. There are going to be teams jumping around a bunch, I think.
Yeah, and it's weird because normally this kind of happens when the big quarterbacks are on the board, right? I mean, we saw 5 take top 10 picks. That was massive, the amount of movement that took place. But it feels like a lot of movement could take place here just because, again, there's so much ammunition out there.
Teams want out more than ever. Wanting to go back more than ever this year.
Also, yes, price tags, teams are going to accept less than what they would have in the past.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, I don't see Kansas City wanting to do back-to-back picks.
Yeah, that's a great example.
I could see them wanting to trade up and maybe get one, big impact player.
Maybe they go to get one of those big wide receivers. Maybe they go, wherever you think the wide receiver cutoff line is. I personally have Sky Moore kind of in that group with everyone else there. So some people probably think he's a second rounder, but I think he's worthy of being up there. But yeah, that's the thing. Will they make that jump to go get one of those guys? Who knows? I do think the keys to the draft is what's Philadelphia doing? What are the Giants? We kind of have an idea what they're doing at 5 and 7. You kind of know what the Jets are doing at 4 and 10. You look at the Saints and Eagles. Whatever you want to say about them, the Eagles could have their quarterback. They might be like, this is our guy. We're good. The Saints, I doubt it because they were trying to get involved in the Deshaun Watson thing, but they could have their quarterback in Jameis. Maybe not. So those are kind of, you have 5 teams there that have 2 picks, I believe, in the first round, if I'm not mistaken. Jets, Giants, Saints, Chiefs, and Eagles. Like, man, they hold all the cards there.
Green Bay.
Houston too. So there's 6.
Houston.
Damn.
7. Green Bay.
Green Bay 7. Good Lord. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like, there's so many teams with like dual picks. Like, you package one of those with a second rounder, you move up a couple slots. Like, it's going to happen a lot.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be fun.
Definitely.
It is going to be fun.
I'm looking forward to it. I think we nailed it. I'm going to put this up on the social medias. Man, I had a great time. This was fun, guys. This was real fun.
Hell yeah, KT. Well, thanks for joining us, man, and getting all the way through this thing.
Absolutely, and great to catch up with you guys. And please give Nick my best, and by my best, I mean not Kenny Pickett. The kid deserves better than Kenny Pickett.
Oh, poor guy, man. Well, he wasn't here to pick for his team, so that's what happens.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, right.
His 4th vacation to Disney World this year.
Hey, no shame in it, man. If you can get up to Disney World, you should do it. I've never been, so hey, I'd like to go on a trip.
Amen.
I'm not hating. But we appreciate you. We appreciate our people watching. Starting to dwindle down. We got a pretty good number, I think.
All right.
Yeah. Check Kevin out on 97.1 The Eagle here in Dallas. Ben and Skin Show from 2 to 5. Anything else we need to look out for you this week?
Well, I think I'm going to do the draft on night 1 on the Jeff Kavanaugh YouTube channel. We're going to do the draft, and we're going to have the Mavs on as well. So Mavs game 6. So we'll have all that happening as well, right? Just like it's all going to be happening at once. It sucks that the Mavs game 6 is happening on the night of the draft, but it is. And so we'll have all that going on. I do the About Them Cowboys podcast on The Athletic. I don't think it'll be out this week, but on Tuesday, I am interviewing for the Kevin Turner Show podcast on the iHeartRadio app. I'm interviewing Stephanie Tanner from Full House. So,
whoa.
Yeah. So that's something that's happening this week, and it probably won't be posted until next week. But, yeah.
Her name's Sweeten, right?
Jody Sweeten, yes.
Yeah. She actually
that's awesome.
She's bought some products for me before.
Oh, nice.
Ironically
enough,
yeah.
Well, yeah, I'm interviewing her, so that's
hey.
That's definitely a thing that's happening. Look out for that on the free iHeartRadio app. It's the Kevin Turner Show podcast. And then like if you like stuff that's on YouTube, it's a little dated right now, but Sports and Such Season 1, my TV show from the fall. It's all on YouTube. And
I was going to ask about that. Do we know of any? Have we gotten any word about a season 2?
Season 2 still up in the air, but I would say conversations are moving in the right direction. So we have probably a season 2 coming back, but you can find all the old ones on YouTube if you like dated sports jokes.
Definitely check that out. They're not dated. You will still get them if you paid attention to sports. But I mean, KT's influence, for those that don't know, is very much like nighttime, like late night television talk show host. So he does a little bit of a monologue. He's got, jokes weaved into his shtick, and it's all very well written and usually very well performed by my man KT. So definitely check that out.
Yeah, thank you very much. I appreciate that. It's at Sports Such DFW on all the online stuff. So yeah, go Mavs and go draft.
Well, awesome. We appreciate it, guys. Get out of here. Till we see you again, stay above average, everybody.